Welcome back. I help faith-driven women break cycles, find clarity, and step boldly into their calling. If that's what you've been searching for, you're in the right place. Let's get into today.
Hey, good day, good day, good day. I want to welcome you to today's video, and this is so special and exciting to me because 50 days ago, you started this journey, and those of you that have started it with me, and maybe you were skeptical, maybe you were desperate, maybe you were just simply tired, but you showed up day after day, video after video, and something shifted. And today we're looking back at what actually changed in 50 days, not just in you, but in me. I'm not talking about just what we have learned together, but what you implemented, not just the inspiration, but the transformation. Because 50 days of showing up, it changes things. The boundaries that you set, the rhythms that you built, the clarity that you found, the courage that you activated. And this isn't just reflection, this is evidence of what God did in you when you said yes to the process. So I want us to talk about it. And I'm going to be very transparent as well. I want you to think about where you were 50 days ago. 50 days ago, I was personally coming off of having total hip replacement surgery. The beginning of the year, putting a pause on the ministry that we had been doing for almost 10 years. And I didn't realize the level of burnout that I was in, um, and not making the course corrections as the Lord would reveal to me. And so this 50-day journey has been very transformative for me as well, and really positioning me to fully step into this next chapter, being able to see it, being able to write the vision, to make it plain, to actually um, running with it. Um, Again, where were you? And you may not have started at day one with me. You may have come in on one of the other segments. And I would encourage you to go back to the YouTube channel and to start at the beginning if you want to walk through this process. And so, again, you may have been running empty. You may have been saying yes to everything. You may have been feeling good about nothing. Maybe you were confused. You knew something needed to change, but you didn't know what and you didn't know how. Maybe you were stuck. Maybe you had the vision, but you couldn't figure out how to make it sustainable. So 50 days ago, you had a problem and you decided to do something about it. You could have kept going the way you were going. You could have stayed stuck. You could have waited for someday, but you didn't. You started. And here's what I want you to see. I want you to see that starting was the hard part. You did the hard part. So everything that came after, all of the learning, the growing, the changing, that was just you being consistent. But you started. I started. And guess what? That matters because most people never even start. Most people stay stuck. Most people wait for someday that never comes. But you, me, we showed up. And that's why things are different now. So I want to talk about what actually changed. I'm going to give you these 5 phases and to walk you back through what we did together over these 50 days. Phase number one would be the discern, or what we call orient, days 1 through 10. This is where you know where you are. And in the first 10 days, you learn to identify where you actually were, not where you wanted to be, not where you thought you should be, but where you actually were. You named the misalignment, you identified the chaos, and you admitted what wasn't working. And that's huge because you can't change what you don't acknowledge, right? So, phase two, we went into dismantle, and that is also established. This is where you build the foundation. So, in days 11 through 20, you started building, you started setting those boundaries that actually stick. You created the rhythms that sustain you, and you learned the difference between adding to your life and integrating into your life. This is where you stopped trying to do more and started doing differently. Now, phase three, again, is that part of that dismantle and heading into the integrate, days 21 through 30. This is where you apply across everything. So in days 21 through 30, you stop compartmentalizing everything because you learned that breakthrough in one area applies to every single area. You took the principles and you started using them, not just in one place, but you use them everywhere. You stopped being one person at work and another person at home, one person at home, another person at church. You started becoming whole. Phase four, we talked about to to build, to protect. Days 31 through 40. This is where you defend what you built. So in days 31 through 40, you learn to protect all that you have been doing all along. You said no without guilt. You defended your sacred time and you kept boundaries even when people tested them. You learned that protection isn't selfish, protection is necessary. In phase five, we went into activate. That's days 41 through 50. This is where now you move on your calling. This is where you started actually moving. You stopped waiting for perfect conditions and you actually figured out what's yours. You carry breakthrough into every area of your life and you activated what God put in you. So, what changed about you? Let me tell you what I'm seeing in the people who've been on this journey. You're not saying yes to everything anymore. You learn to protect your yes. You learned that boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. You learned that no is a complete sentence. And now you're not just overcommitting. You're not exhausted from carrying what was never yours. You're focused. You're not running on empty anymore. Why? Because you have built rhythms for rest. And you learned that Sabbath, that's not optional. So you stop wearing busy like a badge of honor. And now you have energy for what matters. You're not burned out, but you're filled up. And you're not confused about your calling anymore. You've got all of the clarity. You figured out what's actually yours. You learned the difference between busy and on assignment. And now you know where you're going. You're not scattered, but you're focused. You're not waiting anymore because what? You stop waiting for the perfect conditions and you learned that fear doesn't go away before you move. So you took action even when you were afraid. And now you're building, you're moving, you're not stuck anymore. So how does that feel? Like what is that feeling of when you finally get to that place in space? Like it's almost like a sigh of relief. It's like a sigh of relief. And so, what I want to go into now, I want to shift into the evidence of transformation, the evidence of transformation, because you have the evidence that shows that you're not the same person that you were 50 days ago. You used to say yes out of guilt, but now you say yes out of calling. You used to carry everyone else's problems, but now you release what's not yours. You used to wait for the perfect timing, but now you move with what you have, what is in your hands. You used to compartmentalize your life, but now you live whole. You used to burn out regularly, but now you have sustainable rhythms. And that's not just learning, that's transformation. And transformation doesn't happen by accident, it happens through consistency, through showing up, through doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. And you did that for 50 days. And here's the result. So, what God did while you were showing up, let me tell you, God was, what was He doing while you were showing up? He was watching, He was waiting, He was saying, if you meant it this time, because He's given you revelation before, He's shown you things before, but you didn't do anything with it. But this time was different. This time you showed up. This time you implemented. This time you didn't just get inspired, you actually changed like that beautiful butterfly. And I think God was looking at you, thinking, finally, she's ready. Finally, I can trust her with more. Because that's what this was. This was you proving to yourself and to God that you can be trusted with breakthrough. You didn't just receive it, you sustained it. And that changes everything. It changes everything. So here's what I want you to do this week. First, I want you to write down what changed. And I'm going to write mine down. I'm going to share mine. What's different about your life now than it was 50 days ago? Not what you learned, but what you implemented. And I want you to get specific and to name the changes. Number two, I want you to celebrate it. Please don't skip this step. Celebrate what you did. Celebrate the consistency. Celebrate the breakthrough. Celebrate the fact that you didn't quit. And tell someone, post about it. Thank God for it. Celebrate the transformation because it's worth to be celebrated. And then third, I want you to identify what you're not taking forward. What rhythms are you keeping? What boundaries are you protecting? What principles are you continuing to apply? And I want you to name them and write them down because, my friends, my sisters, the journey isn't over. It's just beginning. Fourth, I want you to commit to the next season because you proved that you can do this for 50 days. I proved that I can do it for 50 days. Now, what's next? Don't go back to the old patterns. Don't abandon what you've built. Commit to the next season. And that's whatever that looks like for you. So, in my closing, let me ask you something. What's the biggest shift you've experienced in these 50 days? And I really, really, really want to know. So go ahead and drop it in the comments and let's celebrate together because your testimony isn't just for you, it's for the person who's thinking about starting, it's for the person who's wondering if it's even worth it. It's for the person who needs to know that transformation is actually possible. Your story matters. And if you've been following along for all 50 days, I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for not quitting. Thank you for doing the work. You didn't just consume content, you applied it. And that's rare. It's beautiful. It's powerful. Now, here's what comes next. After these 50 days, you have a choice to make. If you need to go deeper with foundation work, such as discerning your season, dismantling strongholds, or building from the ground up, the DDB framework is 8 weeks of coaching designed exactly for that. If you're ready to activate what you've learned and build it into lasting legacy, the Activate experience is 12 weeks of implementation support to help you sustain what you started. Or you can get both programs in the complete breakthrough journey. And there's a big rebate that I have for you. All of the details are in the description. We've got 2 more days together. Don't miss them. Subscribe if you haven't. Share your story. Tag someone who needs to hear this. And let's finish strong. I'll see you on tomorrow. Blessings.
If today's message spoke to you, don't stay stuck another year. Book a call with me today. The link is in the description. And before you go, keep watching by clicking the next video on your screen. I'll see you there.